Hello guys, in this video I'm going to explain how to create this beautiful cursor animation using HTML, CSS and JavaScript. In this tutorial, these CSS concepts are going to be covered. How to work with CSS transform, translate and CSS variables, and how to do animation stuff using CSS keyframes, and do some color effects using CSS filter property, and also these JavaScript parts are also going to be covered in this tutorial. How to handle events and how to listen to mouse move event, how to work with mouse move event, and how to create new elements and add them into the DOM, and how to remove the elements we created, and also how to access CSS using JavaScript, and how to use setTimeout method to do this animation stuff. Okay, alright, without further ado, let's jump into our tutorial. Okay, I have created a file in my desktop, and I created these three files: index.html and style.css and app.js. Okay, first of all, let's create our markup, and let's change our title into cursor animation, and let's link our CSS style sheet using link element. Our CSS file is style.css, and also we are going to add our JavaScript file script tag inside the body element like this. Okay, now I am going to create a div element like this, and we are not going to add anything inside this div element. After doing our styling part in our CSS, we are going to remove this div element. After that, we are going to create div elements from our script file using JavaScript. For the time being, to do our styling parts, let's keep this as right here. Okay, let's save, and to see live preview, open this page using live server. Okay, you cannot see anything because we did not style our div element right now. Okay, let's style our div element and our styling parts. First of all, I'm going to remove default settings like this: margin 0 and padding 0 and box sizing as border box. And next thing, we are going to style our body element. Let's give it a background color first. I'm going to give some black color, or maybe a little bit lighter. Let's change this color into like this, a little bit lighter. Okay, you can use any color you want, and let's give a width, and let's give this body element a height 100 viewport height. If we do not specify height right here, you won't be able to justify some content into center or wherever you want when we using flexbox. So we need to specify height for that, and we don't need to specify width property. Okay, let's jump into our div element. Let's give it a background color first. I'm gonna use deep pink. It's up to you, you can use any color you want. And let's give it a width 50 pixel and height 50 pixel. Let's see what is happening on the browser. Okay, I want this element to be a circle, so I am going to use border radius property, and I'm going to give a 50 pixel. It gives us a circle element. Okay, to work this animation like this, we need to position our element as absolute. Okay, let's use position absolute. So by using this position property and its value as absolute, it means we are going to take this div element from the floor. We are taking out this element from the floor, and after taking out it from the floor, it is going to place according to its parent element. In this case, we are change our default margin and padding to 0 and box sizing border box, so this element is going to place like this. Now we can move this element across our viewport, and the parent of this div element is our body, so we can move this element within the body. So to do that, we are going to use few properties: top, right, bottom and left. But for this project, we are going to use top and left properties only to move this element vertically and horizontally. Okay, let's specify our values. Top, let's give 100 pixel, and left 100 pixel. Okay, so before we use our next CSS property on this div, I need to explain you something that cause confuse at some times. To do that, I am going to remove this property, commented out this property for the time being. You know that we have positioned this div element by using position property and its value as absolute. That means we took this element from its normal floor and placed using top and left properties. Top, we use 100 pixel, means 100 pixel away from the top position, and 100 pixel away from left position. So the 100 pixel is calculated from right here and right here and right here to right here. Okay, so that means this div element has been moved by 100 pixel along the x-axis like this. This is x-axis and this is y-axis, and this div element has been moved towards the left along the x-axis by 100 pixel. 100 pixel means pixel, and this, and also moved this div element by 100 pixel along the y-axis by 100 pixel. Pixel. But for our animation, To work this animation correctly, we need to centralize the div. We need to centralize this div to like this. Okay, to do that we are going to use CSS property. That is our next CSS property. It is transform, and we are going to use as the value for this property is translate. Translate property does here moving a certain element from along the y-axis and x-axis. Okay, so to centralize this div into the middle of this cross right here, cross right, middle of the cross, we have to move back by 50%, means half of this which means 50%, but we have to use minus values because positive values move elements towards to right side. Okay, so if you do the opposite thing, we have to use negative values, means towards the left side. Okay, so by along the x-axis we need to move this div element towards the left side, so we use to 50%, and so elements is going to be like this. Okay, to move this element vertically, we are going to specify y-axis value, so we need to move this element to top by 50%, minus 50%, so minus 50%, because positive values move element towards move element downwards, right? That's the default behavior, but we need to do the opposite thing. We need to move this element to up, so we use negative values right here. Okay, so we use 50% as is y-axis value. This is for x-axis value, and this is for y. So this element is going to move this position exactly to this position. So let's do that. We use transform, translate, value for x-axis minus 50%, and value for y-axis minus 50%. Let's save and see what is happening. Let's visible our sketch. Okay, now we can see it has been centralized. So we will need this when we decide the position of the element using JavaScript. Okay, I think you get this. I did my best to explain this, and my native language is not English, but I tried to explain the best way I can. Okay, if you have any doubts, just please comment. I will explain. Okay guys, now our animation our div tag styling is finished. So to we have an animation part here. To do that, we use animation CSS keyframes. Let's add frames. So to do that, to animation, we have to give a name. Let's give a move up, because we use this keyframes to move our elements to up. So that's why I gave this name as a minimal name. All right, so the first keyframe, sorry, we use 0, and the first thing we need, so our animation part is taking the div to up gradually, right? Gradually. To do that, I'm going to use the same CSS property, because this does is moving element from along the x and y axis. So in this case, we are not going to use x axis. X axis value is going to be same, and we only use the y axis value. So but for the first position, we use exact same property and its value. Okay, let's copy this and paste. And the last keyframe, it means 100%. Like I said, we keep this x axis value the same, because we don't move our element along the x-axis, means left to right. We don't move, so we don't use this value, but we going to use y-axis, because we need to move this element to the up. So let's give a higher value, okay, like this. Okay, and next thing I am going to use is CSS filter, and as value we use hoe. There's a thing called color wheel, right? Color wheel, right? It's the center, and starting from here, we have a range of colors up to this, right? So we use degrees as the argument of this property value. So it's going to rotate this representing this is representing so this argument representing a certain position of this color wheel, right? If you give a 50 deg, that means it is representing 50 degrees. This is a 0 degrees, this is a 50 degrees. So if you put 50 degrees as an argument of this property value, it is going to represent this 50 degrees, means the color range of these degrees. Okay, so 0 means red or something. So to begin with, I use 0. To begin with, I use 0 digs, and as the last, I use same. Is like if you use you know, it has circle has 360 degrees. So if we start from here, when it comes to 360, it's going to be the same color, not the same but almost same. Okay, so if you use 360 or 360 355 360 or 355 59, there's not going to be any change. So we need to give more than 360 value. Let's give it like a 750. degrees. It's like a, more than when that means when this animation starting from here, this position is going to circle more than 2 times. So color is going to be changed when this animation finish. These colors, different occasion represent different colors because this is going to gradually change. Okay, I think you get this. If you have any doubts, please comment. Okay, now our keyframe part has finished. So let's remove these comments and circle back. Okay, alright, so before we jump into our JavaScript part, I need to tell you that the size of this div element is going to be determined by the script file, by the JavaScript, and also the position is specified by JavaScript. So size and position. Okay, so you know that we are unable to access CSS from the script, from the JavaScript. So we can access to the DOM, but we cannot access to CSS. We can use style object to styling things, but we cannot access CSS from JavaScript. So instead we use in my project I use CSS variables. CSS variables. Okay, let's do our changes to our CSS style sheet. To these properties, I'm going to use CSS variables, and before the variable name we have to use double dashes. Okay, so for the width I'm going to give width. Well, you can use any name you want. I use this height. Well, y val, x val. Okay, now we cannot see our div. We cannot see our div in this viewport. Okay, so all right, now last thing, I have to specify this animation inside this div, because okay, so let's specify that animation name. Our name is move up, and animation duration is, let's give 5 seconds. It's up to you. You can use any value, any duration you want. Okay, let's move to our JavaScript part. Okay, for in this case we are going to listen to a mouse move event. So that means whenever we move this cursor inside the viewport, that is where our animation and our element should begin, and our element should be positioned. So we are going to take coordinates page X and page. Let's first of all listen to the mouse move event. So we are going to add mouse move event to our body element. Document dot body dot add event listener. Our event is mouse move, and we will be use event object. So we have to pass event object as to this function. Okay, so alright, the first thing we do is we need to create element. Okay, so whenever we move the mouse, it is going to be create a new element. Okay, so let's add some comments. Creating an element. Okay, document dot create, sorry, document, okay, document dot create element. We are going to create a div element. Okay, and next thing we have to add this element to our document body. Okay, so document dot body, we use append method. For I forgot something here, because we need to hold the element we create from this this method. Okay, so let's create a constant variable and let's name it as new L, because I'm going to hold the new element which is created by this part. Okay, now this variable is holding the element that is created by this method. Okay, so let's append that element to the body. Alright, let's check this out. Okay, let's inspect console. Okay, element. Okay, let's, whenever we move the mouse, you can see that div elements are creating. It's been creating up. I've been creating. Okay, so alright, this next thing. Okay, the next thing we are going to do is designing the size of the div element. Okay, specifying the size element. Okay, to specify the size, I am going to use a random number. Okay, to create a random number, I am going to use a random method of math object. Okay, let's first you need to create a variable to hold the random number. Let's say size, and math. You know, this method right here gives a random number between 0 and 1, right? So decimal number. Okay, so decimal value, so we need to multiply this by 100. 10 is not enough, and this also gives some decimal value, so we need to round this number off. Okay, so it's not going to be a problem, but let's round this number up. Okay, I'm going to use another method of math object called math floor. So now I'm going to access right here in JavaScript. Okay, so our element is here, is name element, and style object and set property. The first argument should be the name of the variable. In this case it is with val. Okay, and our value is this. The second argument, the value is size, which is this, and this is a pixel value, so we have to specify this pixel value as string, and do the same thing to the height. Okay, let's take a look at what is going on. Okay, now the next thing we do is specifying the position of the element. Okay, to specifying the position of the element, we need to take the coordinates of the cursor. So in this case, I'm going to use pageX and pageY. These are properties of event object. Let's console out. Let's look out the event object. I pass here, and okay, let's go to console. All right. So you can see the page X and page. So whenever we move our cursor in the page, we can take the X position value and Y position value, the coordinates. Okay, so we are going to use these coordinates to determine the position of the element. Okay, so we don't need this anymore. Let's new dot style set property. So our first value was argument should be the variable name. Let's take top value as event object page Y, because I need y-axis value. Okay, in this case this is going to be same as pixel. Let's define the pixel. Okay, and I'll do the same thing for the y val, sorry, x val. I need this okay. All right, let's take a look what is actually going on. Okay, guys, something is wrong over. Let's see what is going on. Okay, yes. All right, I see. You can see that we have extra double dashes. Let's remove this. All right, Now I'm almost done, but you can see some problem occurs here because the div elements we created whenever we move our cursor are going to be there. Okay, so we need to remove them after a certain time. Okay, so let's do this. To do that, I use setTimeout. Let's comment what we are going to do. Okay, so let's say removing elements after a certain time. Okay, use setTimeout method. Okay, I'm going to use arrow function. This is the time we need. After 3 seconds I need to remove all the element we created. Okay, right, just new error, use a remove method. Okay, right, okay, now my computer is very slow. Right, just one thing I forgot, I need to remove this because this might be a problem. Okay, right. Okay, okay, now our animation is done. Okay, this is what we get. Okay guys, if you learned something new, please don't forget to subscribe my channel. It will help me to grow. Thank you so much.